Welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 969-KTRS, 888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS from your cell phone.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our office are located in beautiful, sunny, pre-eclipse downtown Clayton, Missouri. That's no fun. It's supposed to be hazy.
Path of totality.
The path of totality. They all lead to 10 a.m. Straight Talk on Retirement. Here on the Big 550.
That's what everyone's
KTRS.
driving for?
Yeah.
Driving into the...
You know, there's a joke in everything, isn't there? You got to have a little bit of fun in doing this. So we are, and we hope you're having a great day. We certainly are planning on doing so as well. And I'm joined this week and every single week by my smiling, affable, favorite, oldest daughter, Erin.
And I run the health insurance side of our practice.
Yes, you do.
We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. I'm sorry.
I'm just imagining everyone driving in to hear they just said on
they're
the news
they're all lining up at our office, right? Because that's where the
path
totality.
Of totality.
Anyways.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. So anyways, we have a lot of fun, to say the least. And what we do is we create a game plan for these folks so they can have all the income they want so they can do all the things that they want to do during retirement, right?
That's right. We also help them address their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to supplement their medical coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass it on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their investment advisor, representatives, and financial planners, Aaron and I watch their money every single day. So they stay on track, and that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Right?
That's right.
Exactly. Well, Aaron, I know you're ready for action. I don't know if I am. I still have a few laughs inside me here this morning. A few giggles left out of that.
Just gotta stop thinking about the image of everyone driving.
Exactly. In that 2 minutes of darkness.
I heard that nocturnal animals are supposed to come out of hiding and things. Could be crazy.
I don't know if there's anybody hiding when
like raccoons,
especially at like 90-some degrees. It's going to be like on Monday, which is all fun. But as you can tell, we are live. We are local. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, whether you have questions about your 401ks, your IRAs. Maybe you've received an inheritance. You have health care questions, maybe questions about Social Security. The coaches are in the house. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. And as a reminder, all the topical matters that we discuss each Saturday really come from either emails we receive from you, coaching sessions we have with current as well as prospective clients, as well as stuff in our brains, right?
That's right.
And it's easy to contact us, Aaron and I, during the week. You can always send us an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com.
Or Aaron@jblfinancial.com.
Or if you like, you can go to our incredibly, happily improved website.
That's right, jblfinancial.com. And a little pop-up box will show up on the left-hand side of your screen if you'd like to join all of the thousands of people that are receiving our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. So you just click on that box, give us your name, email address, phone number, and we'll send it out to you every month. Or you can scroll down towards the middle of the page and click sign up for our newsletter, and we'll do the same, and we'll send it out to you just the same.
And neat part is that they can also contact us through our website.
That's right. If you hit the Contact Us button, you can send an email directly to us through the website.
Yes, you can, and you can get in, really ask a pretty lengthy question if you want.
That's right. And you can also reach out to us on Facebook, JBL Financial, or on Twitter, JBL Financial.
And I swear Aaron will get back to you.
That's right.
I've been banned from social media.
Well, you haven't taken the courses yet.
Exactly.
You're not trained.
Thank you. But we do have a monthly newsletter, Aaron. We're in week 3 of our newsletter, of our August newsletter. Give us a couple of topics, if you would.
Working in retirement. What you need to know if you plan to do so. No.
How about forget about it?
Testing your investing IQ.
Woohoo.
I think we went through the majority of these questions over the last 2 weeks.
Thank God I wrote them because I had got all the answers right.
What is a bond? Quick. An equity security, a non-negotiable note, a debt investment in which an investor loans money to an entity.
I think about the ties between a father and a daughter. That's a bond.
It's real. You got lots of jokes this morning.
It's not a joke. It's true. It's just bonds. I mean, what's a bond? It's a loan. When you loan a company money, the government money, etc., for a rate of interest.
So our bond is I'm loaning you emotional support?
Yes.
That's what the bond is.
Sounds good. That's what you think it is. It's good.
Yes, that was actually correct. C, an investment in which an investor loans money to an entity.
Very good.
Nice work.
Thank you.
All right.
Good thing I wrote it.
Yes, and remembered. The third article is Kickstart Your College Fund with a 529 plan. And the final two articles are How do the economic milestones of young adults today compare with prior generations? So we talked a lot about that.
Yes.
But in our last week's episode.
Coach's Scores newsletter, easy to get.
Just go to our website, jblfinancial.com.
And Erin and her staff do keep the last 6 to 8 months of those archived for your viewing, downloading, printing, convenience. And we do send a couple thousand out every month, so it's very cool.
That's right. And if you want to keep up with us every single day, log on to your social media, Facebook and Twitter. Look us up, JBL Financial, and we have a lot of fun things that we post every single week. Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Well, that's why we have a good staff. That's
right.
Very good. And again, our phone lines are open today, 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. Do you think there's the post-eclipse blues?
Oh, like right now we're in like the mania, the lead up to the eclipse?
Exactly. Do you think people are going to be like depressed afterwards? It's going to be quite a sight.
Apparently, well, hey, all you have to do is wait till 2024, go down to Texas, and there's another path of totality.
Beautiful.
So just goals, things to look forward to.
Well, we have time at least to open an office, so all the past can lead to well, which will be kind of nice.
The satellite totality office.
Yeah, this could be. At least we know at least we have a few years to plan.
That's a good point.
We
could have a pop-up office.
And I was trying to come up with some ideas this morning about, how we could kind of wrap some of these topics around the eclipse. So
this is going to be a fun show. Just be prepared.
We hope it's going to be fun. Because, our phone lines are open. We're always interested in taking your calls.
Fun in totality.
I do want to remind everybody that we do have a lot of fun, but all of our clients are folks that are like you.
That's right.
Between the ages of 55 and 75, those that would like to retire are already retired. And it was an interesting question the other day. I was sitting with a prospective client. They said, Jeff, do you work with younger people? The answer is, yeah, we do. As long as they're kids of our clients.
Right.
Yeah.
We're like specialists. We do one thing.
Right. I mean, we work with folks when they want to create that game plan to make that step into, I don't know, some people call it the golden years, but in the fun time.
The fun time.
Not at work.
Yeah.
Can they successfully leave that world and go into it's all your own time world? And that's really fun to do, actually helping them create that game plan. And as far as it goes, it's really a game plan about cash flow. making
Right.
sure that the level of income they're receiving when they retire duplicates completely,
In totality,
thank you, the after-tax income that they're receiving while they're at work. And the reason is that we know that folks don't change their lifestyles. They really want to continue them as they have. They don't want to have to go to work to maintain them. They don't want to change their. I had somebody talk to me the other day. I said, "Well, Jeff, we've been empty nesters and we go out to eat like 3-4 times a week. It's not surprising. It's hard to cook for two
for
people,
two.
right? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to take cooking classes, and then I'm going to start cooking at home all the time. We're going to save all this money."
Does Mom cook at home for you all the time now that she has retired?
The radio answer is yes. Of course she does. Your mom's a great cook, so you could also tell my body is now becoming
led you into that.
Great for radio, not for television anymore. But your mom's always been a great cook, and it's nice. So if she has the time, she does so, which is fun. And the best part is I'm even getting to put in my orders now.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, it is fun. It really is fun. And fortunately, your mom will eventually learn to eat what I like. So
you're training her.
Yes, it is. It's a good thing. But with folks that are doing this, we find that it just isn't really the case. I mean, what happens is that the spending patterns that folks have. They continue through on their entire lives. I mean, if you're used to going out to eat, you do. If you want to eat healthier, you will.
Eat out healthier.
They're really, and I think what's important here is that it's difficult to measure this, but I know at least, that there's a cost to going to work. Yes. Whether it's gas, whether it's eating out, whatever it would be, clothes, etc., that there truly is a cost to do that. When that cost gets absorbed back into someone's cash flow, they have that money available, they always think, well, we're going to travel more, we're going to do this, etc. Well, maybe you do, but we've never had anybody ask us for a raise.
It's just cost shifting. You're not spending money at work, but you're spending money.
And most people don't really spend more in retirement, as you said, Aaron. What they do is they spend it differently. Cost shifting, you're right. So we know that most time when folks go on holiday, because there's no vacation from your retirement.
Right. Well, you still have to eat on holiday. You still have to drive on holiday. You have to be somewhere. So
Entertainment. Right.
Entertainment.
So really the real cost, if there is any, is generally
lodging.
Transportation, especially if you're not taking a car, or lodging. That's right. So are these costs incredible? Are they excessive, etc.? In most cases, they're not, because you're probably doing some of this stuff anyways. And if you're not, well, guess what? Understanding your cash flow, creating a game plan for those needs.
And you can guilt-free spend.
You can do that. And that really is what we think ultimately you want to get to, a place where you're comfortable with your cash flow, because really making that transition from someone who is providing you with your monthly income, i.e. your employer, to where you have to actually create it, depending on sources like Social Security, like pensions, etc. It's not easy. I mean, it's really, mentally, it can be a difficult transition, but that's what we do every day. That's what our deal is, so it's kind of fun to do. But getting back to the whole eclipse idea.
Wait, hold on. Before we move into the eclipse, I have breaking news.
Beautiful.
Miss Lapidus, also my mother, has sent a text that said she cooked every night this week. Every night.
Every night?
Every single, in totality of nights she cooked.
Well,
she eclipsed the week in cooking.
Technically, that's not quite correct. As this is Saturday, I did take her out to dinner last night. And I cooked hamburgers on Thursday, so
okay.
I'm going to mildly dispute that claim. She may have had she may still be a little groggy, from sleeping in.
It's early in the morning.
It's early in the morning. I know she's listening, so love you, honey. As it would be, and I'm taking her to lunch too. We didn't talk about lunches.
And also that's an expense at work that people don't think about. Most people don't bring their lunch every day, right. So that's another thing that you cost shift to
breakfast
something else.
Too. Breakfasts are expensive.
True. But many folks eat that at home, though. Or maybe not.
Probably
I don't know.
smartly.
I said that out of turn.
Well, you never know. You don't eat breakfast out too often.
No, I do not.
I do. Just one of those things. I like to get my start in the morning because your mom's not up. She's not making me breakfast. Maybe I could negotiate instead of dinner.
Some sort of negotiation for your breakfasts?
There you go. Exactly.
Interesting. Anyway.
So what I was thinking was, getting back to the sort of eclipse idea, is that, there really is a black hole. There is a
black hole.
A cloud that comes over that in many cases kind of changes people's focus, if you want to think of it that way. Kind of maybe
obscures the goal, the sun.
And sometimes they're thinking.
Yes.
And that's really dealing with debt obligations.
And everyone accumulates them.
Yeah, and I probably spent at least one appointment, one visit, one coaching session every day this week in dealing with these issues with folks. I've kind of come up with the idea, or at least the visual, of Gulliver's Travels.
Okay.
Gulliver. I mean, there's, at least when I was younger, there was a picture, the front cover of the book had Gulliver laying on the ground, just being covered in ropes, where the Lilliputians had tied him up.
Lilliputian.
Right. And so what happens is that, what are these constraints on Gulliver where he couldn't get up? Well, to me, a lot of those constraints really are debt. It's debt obligations. It's sort of unleashing, if he can get up, what do we do? Well, over a period of time, hopefully what our idea is, and we came up with a new acronym, thank you, which is WRAP.
Oh, this works even better. Well, I guess WRAP would be WRAP. I was thinking like wrapped. But
wrapped up.
But
right.
This is just WRAP like
Yeah, I mean, and the concept
music.
here is that, if we can get rid of some of these, if we can cut some of these
ties
that are holding him down, holding you down, what happens is you'll be in a position where you can really go out and enjoy retirement, because we know that paying off debts, obligations, are outflows. So if we can minimize or eliminate those outflows, that means those inflows become that much more valuable. And it's almost an idea, and we'll talk about this maybe later, is I like the concept of holding your assets hostage to actually pay for those obligations. So let's talk about a situation we saw this week, and we see it every week. We have clients that come to us. We saw a lady last week. She come to us. She happened to be single, divorced. Very, higher level of a person working at a company. She had approximately $800,000 of retirement assets. She also had a 401k loan, about $30,000.
Wow.
She had credit card debt of another $30,000. She also had some debt for her children in terms of college education. She paid for them primarily out of she and her ex-husband. But she still had about $20,000 in debt. So she's really sitting there thinking about, with about $80,000 of debt. And she also had a home, which she secured through her divorce. And, her goal was to make sure that it was paid off so that her home was secure, it was safe, and she had no debt against it. And it had an equity value, she told us, somewhere in the area of about $400,000.
Okay.
So, and I mean, you really asked her, why are we carrying these levels of non-deductible interest debt? Some are higher, obviously interest, some are lower. And we found that, her question was, am I a rock star? Which a lot of people ask.
A lot of people have that question.
She's 62. Can I retire? Am I in a position to do this? And her problem came down to the level of debt and the way she was handling these debt obligations had such a great high level of outflows that it was difficult to be able to balance that with the inflows that she was getting.
Her debt service was more than a third of her outflows.
That's right. So what did we suggest? Well, we said it's time for you to become a rapper, right?
Now, a rock star, but a specific kind.
Yes, be a rapper, which is we want to deal with this debt effectively, right?
That's right.
So with rapping, what we're talking about here is, number one of the R is we want to rank the debt by the outflow, that is the interest cost. What is the highest interest cost arrangements? Generally, those that cost the most interest also have the shortest
amortization
Right.
schedule. So your credit cards have a 1-year amortization, and they usually could have up to 14 to 24%.
There you go. Sometimes even higher. She also had, second level of debt that she had was 401k. And we know 401k has a
5-year amortization.
Exactly. Again, non-deductible interest. And then she had student loans, which could have as much as a 20-year amortization. So the question is that if we rank these, assuming she had no ability to consolidate them, what we would do is we would want to get rid of the highest interest rate ones first, because those were creating the greatest outflows. Those also were the greatest outflows in her in terms of cash flow, right?
Right.
So A is aggregate, right? Aggregate if you can. So, Erin, effectively, what would you think would be a good aggregation strategy for her?
Well, she had an excellent opportunity because she had $400,000 of equity in her home and access to a home equity line of credit. So she could take all of that $80,000 of debt and pay it off using her home equity line of credit. And what she's done is extend the majority of her payments from 1 year and 5 years out to 10 years.
Right.
And she has also made that tax-deductible debt as opposed to now after-tax debt.
Right, the interest. Right.
The interest of her debt.
Specifically, the interest would be tax-deductible. And this could be really valuable. And the third thing is she became her own banker, because now she's in a situation where she can control how she amortizes that debt.
Right.
The 10 years is really where normally it would be paid off, but the fact is she could move it faster. What was interesting is that when we looked at these numbers, if you have $80,000 of home equity line debt, that's about $8,000 a year of payments, and you figure at 5% interest, you're paying basically about about $40 a month of interest. You're also paying somewhere in the area of about $600 a month of principal. So you're looking at about $650 a month of payments. Her current payment level is over $3,000 a month. So by reducing this, by reducing it and making the interest deductible, if she wanted to, she could take that same $3,000 a month she was paying today
and pay it off.
And pay it off even faster to get into that situation, but making the interest deductible. What was hard for her? What was hard is because, this was the kid's school.
Also, my home is already paid off.
My home's already paid off. Well, what happens is, it's like going to the casino and borrowing money. You have these markers.
The little chips.
The bank doesn't care what you spent the money on. The school that your child went to doesn't really care if they got a good education or not, because you own the money. And the 401k loan is...
Well, that's your own money.
Yeah. Not only is that money not there and actively and working, but you're also paying interest on it, which is non-deductible. So making these choices, making these decisions, we think, makes a lot of sense, because what happens is that if you can look at this, if you can get yourself out of the black hole, if you can take that blind spot away from yourself, you would see that we're making the payments anyways.
Right. So just because it's against you, you now have turned it into debt against your home. People sometimes feel very uncomfortable with that, because especially in situations where they've already paid off their mortgage. But the reality is you're really only shooting yourself in the foot by putting a value judgment on what type of debt you have, because, like we said, she's spending $3,000 a month to service those debts, and they wouldn't be paid off in 10 years. So
you're right, and she also sent us a very nice email afterwards, right?
That is, well, we also didn't get to the P in RAP.
Right, and the P is pay it off.
Actually, once you
pound it to it, right?
Right.
Pound it.
Once you've set up a game plan to liquidate the debt, actually follow through and pay it off.
Right, and she did send us an email. She said, "I just want to thank you for taking the time to visit with me. I took your advice, and since I paid off my cards and
my
the other
401k loan,
etc., and used the home equity line from a bank, I will continue to aggressively pay off the home equity balance. The goal is to have it gone within the next 3 years." Cool.
That's right.
Right. And the neat part is that, so what do we do? In this process, not only did we assist her in hopefully opening her thinking, but also at the same time she had a game plan, and she isn't going to be retiring for 3 years.
That's right. And she said, thanks again for helping me with a plan of action. I am on a mission.
There you go.
So it's nice to have goals set, even if it's not necessarily, we're not setting an accumulation goal for her. We're setting a liquidation goal to get rid of this debt. And once you have goals set, being able to reach them is very satisfying. And also it gives you a path to know that you can, if you're in a situation where you need to climb out of debt, that you can see the light.
And what's neat is we also, she and I did agree that she would contact us every 6 months because we don't know how her progress is.
That's right.
We want to, we want to help her become accountable. At the same time, we want to encourage.
That's right. And also if you set a plan in motion and then something happens or things change, we also would like to be able to help course correct because we don't want you to be in misery.
Right.
Trying to take care of something.
And the idea is, again, during this next 3-year period, we're going to help her with making recommendations for her in regard to her current retirement plan assets that are there with her company. And then also then, as when she does get to that point, we'll really have that kind of glide path, as we like to call it, so that she'll be able to make a smooth and hopefully less worry-filled retirement because she's taken that big monkey off her back, which really was
Cut the ropes, Gulliver's ropes.
But I know Judy's been holding for a couple minutes. Judy, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your question today? Judy.
Oh.
I'll try.
Beautiful, sunny Southern Illinois, where we are the epicenter of the eclipse.
Epicenter.
I love that, Judy.
We are.
Judy is in the path of totality.
I am in the path of totality.
Well, plus her husband's recently retired, so she is in also the area of more husband, less money totality as well.
Yeah, so I really didn't have a question. I guess I just need to tell you we probably are going to need more money.
Judy.
Never heard that, Judy. Well, Tom, her husband's only been retired for a couple of months, so we're sort of in this feeling out period, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it really it generally is, and getting accustomed to your cash flow is really what's important. So it's it's sort of like just making some tweaks.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's why we have you.
There you go.
That's right.
And
so
and we love visiting with you because every time you come to visit, we get to recommend a new restaurant, right?
This is true. And, if you ever come visit us, we have the best coffee in Southern Illinois.
Oh, I love that. And it's free for us, right?
Yes, it's free for you. We won't even charge you.
Do you have free parking as well, Judy?
We do. And I hate to say this, but our parking is a little better than yours.
Well, you can't have everything. Free Clayton parking. The spaces are tiny.
Well,
and the best coffee.
That's right.
And the best financial advisors.
Well, thank you so much. We love you guys too, and we always appreciate your call. So it looks like you got room for us if we figure that we're going to be blocked out because of the office building, right?
Yeah. So if you have nothing else to do Monday, just come on over.
Beautiful. That might be the best invite we've had so far.
That is.
There you go.
Great.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much.
Have a good day, guys.
You do the same, and thanks so much for calling. It's fun. The path of totality. You started today.
It just sounds ominous, kind of. I know it's not an ominous thing, but
and that really was a great call by Judy because what happens is that it's true. When folks do make that retirement, that movement to retirement, we are in situations where we do like to visit with everybody generally, especially when they retire. Usually it's once every 2 to 3 months. At the very beginning, to make sure that things are working correctly. All the accounts obviously have transferred, that the cash flow really is working, and, to gauge where they are, what their expectations are. And, it's really a fun process because, Judy and her husband are really a lot of fun, but we like get to hear about the holidays, right?
All the fun trips.
Like Viking. It seems like everybody's going on a Viking cruise this year.
It's the new thing.
It is the new thing. Fun thing. Or the Panama Canal, or Alaska. A lot of cruisers.
Good ones.
A lot of cruisers as we've had so far. But that's fun. But again, in their particular case, we didn't have really debt issues to deal with, but it was really just the timing of cash flows. When do we take Social Security? There's some pensions that are available, doing the timing on those pensions correctly, and making sure that we're turning faucets on and off.
Health insurance. That was a big one.
Always a big one.
That's right. So.
You know, and especially when you have a couple where there is a difference in ages.
Right, which in most cases, most couples aren't born even on the same month, so there are things to work out in terms of even if you're both turning 65 the same year, not necessarily both turning 65 in June of the same year, so working out the timing on that as well. So in their particular case, you know, Judy is still enjoying Cobra while her lovely husband has been able to transition to Medicare.
Which is great.
Exactly.
And it's just that, you know, then there's the question of what happens when Cobra's over. If Judy hasn't gotten to be old enough, which she won't be, I don't think,
no,
to reach Medicare eligibility. So we've got to bridge that gap period between her Cobra ending and, you know, age
getting
65.
to Medicare, exactly.
And that can be, I mean, obviously the law is unsettled to this particular moment, other than that we have a law.
Yeah.
And,
yes. So
and maybe
what
somebody
might
will change
happen,
it, right?
Maybe one day. But I think for the next few years, it's probably set as to. Now, the plans will change, and the carriers that are available in Missouri and Illinois will change as well. So we'll have to wait and see.
And even if the wonderful Republicans that have control of the House at this point and Senate were to come back and have an epiphany and actually agree with something and to pass a plan, even if it was tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Wow.
That plan wouldn't generally go into effect for at least a couple of years anyways as a phase-in period.
Exactly.
So we'll have some time to be unhappy and squawk
or figure out the silver lining as to how we can help our clients and others deal with the.
Well, you know, that's what we love to do, which is to make lemonade out of lemons.
That's right.
Let's see what what his question is today. Robert, good morning. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, sir?
Life is good.
I have a question for you that I never hear nobody ever mention.
Okay.
They say when we were born, when we have a legitimate birth certificate from this government,
right,
that the government has created a fake corporation in our name, and our name is in all capital letters.
Uh-huh. So there's a joke in this, right?
What's that?
I said there's a punchline in this, right?
No, it's called a straw man. This fake corporation has the number that we have in our birth certificate, goes into the New York Stock Exchange.
Uh-huh.
And then what happens?
Well, what happens is that's what I like to know. Nobody talks about it. I like to know if I can take that money out.
Well, let me help you, my friend. I do appreciate your call. Here's what the answer to that is. There is no answer. It was silence because I think that...
I've never heard of that particular theory or thought.
I think Robert may have been watching Conspiracy Theory movie a little too many times. No. That would be expensive, too.
To have.
I want to be the law firm that was actually creating all these
certificates?
all these straw corporations, etc. That doesn't really happen. But you know what is important is you should take stock.
Take stock.
In the market. We have terrific financial markets here. I mean, the fact is that the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, etc., we have the fairest, the freest markets.
Most transparent.
You better believe it. Information is now more free-flowing than it's ever been in history. And so what happens is taking advantage of that, having your money grow over long periods of time, giving yourself the opportunity to have your money grow over long periods of time is fabulous. That's how most of us have created our wealth.
That's right.
I mean, there is risk to investing.
Yes.
There's no question about it. There is risk of loss, but what we invest for is the potential for gain, measuring that against potential for loss.
And we've seen that over long periods of time, people do generally come out ahead if they've been invested in a well-diversified portfolio,
right.
Stayed invested over long periods of time.
And, you know, one of the problems that we have today is that because of the Federal Reserve's policy in restricting interest rates, and we know that as savers, especially if you have a CDs or money market accounts,
not being rewarded for your savings.
Not at all. And the fact is that even the rates that the Fed's charging isn't translating into interest for you. Right,
because, I mean, what if the Fed's raised the rate 25 basis points, or 50 basis points in the last 5 years? So that's not trickling down, as it were, into your savings account, CDs, or even into the bond market.
Which for many investors, it's making them look other places to not only create dividends or income, but also value. in growth. So we're sort of being forced, I guess you want to call it invisible hand, towards being in the markets. So being there prudently in a diversified way, maybe receiving advice if you feel like you need that help is extremely important. And there's no conspiracy out there, really. I mean, if anything else, what's neat is that we do have the freest of the most, as you said, Aaron, the freest of the most open markets that are out there. So it's great to be an American, period.
That's right. When we hear about problems with other markets, in many cases it's because they don't require the same amount of corporate transparency that we do, and so...
Or the level of government intervention in those economies,
exactly,
which really restricts the growth of those companies.
Yeah, or overinflates the growth of those companies
right.
to the point where those numbers aren't reflective of the actual economy in those countries. So it's nice to know that there is at least the information that's available to us can help us make informed decisions.
Absolutely. And so, dealing as a part of your retirement game plan, and really everybody's financial plan, it's a matter of very effectively dealing with that. That's one of the things that you definitely have to do. Well, good. I think what we're going to do is, while we're waiting for your calls at 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS, what we'll do is we'll take our first break of the hour.
Let's do it.
Don't touch us dial. Aaron and I will be back right after these messages.
Now back to Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here's Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Woohoo! That's right, we're back here on the Big 550 KTRS, Pre-Eclipse Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus.
I'm Aaron Lapidus.
Yes, you are.
I am indeed.
And we do have Barb that's been holding on the line since our break. Hi, Barb. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yourself? I'm
doing great. Barb's one of my favorite names.
It's his mama's name.
You don't hear many Barbs anymore.
She's, and I'm fortunate that I have my Barb around.
You are fortunate, yes, indeed.
Very fortunate. Well, great. So you had a 403B question?
I do. How exactly does that work? I mean, I work at a school district, and they are taking money out on a regular basis because I've assigned that. But when the time comes to retire, is that something that you take out? Can you take out in a whole lump sum? Is it something that you take out gradually, and you get to choose when to take it out? How does that work?
Almost yes.
Okay.
Which is good. So a 403B, you can kind of think of it like an IRA waiting to happen. But it's one that's done through your current school district. It's really for teachers, not for profit organizations, etc. So when you do go to retire, you really don't have to do anything with it, unless it's in a plan, and then you would move it tax-free using a direct transfer into a self-directed IRA. If you're 59 and a half, you can begin to make withdrawals without paying a penalty, and you pay income taxes as you withdraw the money.
And you get to decide how much or how little you'd like to pull until you're 70, when you're required to take about 4%,
right,
with your required minimum distribution.
Okay.
Did we?
And does it have a specific? Does it grow with it? I noticed it doesn't grow very fast. So how do they calculate?
Okay. So what happens is that you should be self-directing the investments that are in the plan. So if you're not as pleased with the growth that you have, it's probably because of the mix that you've chosen in your of the investments that you have in the plan.
Oh, so I need to be on that.
Yes, you need to take a look at that. If there's usually most of the school districts have somebody that's set these up, or whoever wrote you up for the 403B. You can contact them. This is something we also do routinely, which is to help people make and give them advice about the choices that they have that are available to them. And what occurs is that you should be able to go in and make changes either through the web or by telephone.
Right, or even by paper sometimes.
Or even by
depends.
paper. So you should have control over your choices.
Okay.
Very
well,
good.
That helps a lot.
Well, thank you so much for your call. We do appreciate it this morning. And, what's neat is that most plans today, in most cases, are self-directed.
That's right. So, and also they allow you to make changes on a fairly regular basis. So we generally rebalance our clients' portfolios semi-annually, but you're able to take a look at that on a regular basis and see if you like what your mix is and how your performance is.
You know, Aaron, and probably up until about 2010, I would say, most folks that were in 403B's teachers had to purchase annuity contracts. And so the choices inside of those annuity contracts, sometimes they chose the fixed option, guaranteed rate of interest, but many of them did have some sub-accounts. Now, most of those, because of obviously the fiduciary rules that have come out, most companies do have, or they're offering, school districts are offering plans that have mutual funds which don't have the same high level of fees as those old annuity contracts did. And so they should have a list, just like they have a similar list of folks that have 401ks, right?
That's right, or if you have a simple plan, things like that.
Right.
You're able to make choices based on what the fund offers.
Right. So, Barb, I mean, what it comes down to at the end of the day is that the rate of return you should earn over a period of years is really going to be based upon your mix of stocks to bonds to cash inside of your account. Not that what you pick is the good stuff. The good stuff has a marginal effect, i.e. better earning performance funds do, but the truth is it really always comes down to your mix. So if you're not seeing your accounts growing
the way you would want them to,
especially through the first 6-8 months of the year, it's probably because of your level of bonds in your portfolio versus the level of equities or stock mutual funds that you have. So I would check that out with your current advisor, which is always a cool thing to do. And again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 969-KTRS, star KTRS from your cell phones, or 1-888-550-KTRS. Aaron, we do need to get to our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment, which is sponsored this week and every single week by our very good friends, Coventry Healthcare of Missouri.
And Aetna Company.
And we do want to thank the folks from Coventry about that. So what are we going to talk about?
Well, why don't we jump right into Dwight, who is holding on the line, and then we can get into our healthcare segment.
Very good. Dwight, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you both this morning?
Life is good.
My question is, what kind of examinations or audits do independent advisors get? Okay.
Great question. We'll answer that one very quickly. That's an easy one. What happens is that the SEC requires that each independent advisory firm is required to be audited. And what happens is we happen to be supervised. We work through a broker-dealer that's called LPL Financial. Those folks are supervised, audited by the SEC, and they have people that come out and audit us. So we actually go through an annual examination of our records for that. And most of the large firms that you hear about, whether it's Jones or Schwab, etc., they all generally have that same type of internal auditing mechanism. We've never had the SEC show up at our office. We don't want them to, of course.
But the SEC monitors LPL. LPL monitors us.
Right.
But then also, aside from just the auditing process, LPL monitors
these
shows, all of our transactions, every account that's set up,
all of our communications,
our communications with clients and also with potential clients. So everything that we do runs through our broker-dealer LPL and is monitored by them. So aside from just an annual audit that looks at our books and our overall office to make sure everything's secure, they also monitor us on a daily basis.
Yeah, they do, because what they're doing is they're looking at not only are transactions prudent and appropriate, but also the mix. They're looking at the client portfolios, what their objectives are, and are the investment recommendations we're making, the things that we're purchasing for the clients,
reflective of what their risk tolerance is and what their goals are.
Yeah, because in our case, all of our clients have given us and provided us with the privilege of discretion, which means that we are permitted to make those buying and selling decisions for them. That's why they pay us a fee. But we do have our broker-dealer that does supervise that as well. So we hope that answers your questions. Usually the audits happen on the high end up level, and then what happens is we're then internally audited by those other folks as well.
Yes.
Good. So let's get back to healthcare.
So I met with Bob and Sally this week.
Again.
They
like you.
They're in often. Sally's actually turning 65 in October, and Bob is turning 65 in January.
All right. There you go.
Sally still works. She has group health insurance, and Bob is retired already, so he is on Sally's plan.
Not unusual.
Not at all. But here's the thing. Sally wants to retire.
No way.
Way. She's ready to be done. Even though she's only working a few days a week, she has the opportunity to still participate in the group health insurance plan through her employer.
So what happens?
So Sally doesn't like her group health insurance.
Like many people.
Exactly. She wasn't planning to retire exactly in October, but she doesn't like the plan. But they're only paying $300 a month in premium for both of them together.
Wow.
So it's a pretty nice, and also that's pre-tax, obviously, because it's coming out of Sally's paycheck.
That's an offer they shouldn't refuse.
Exactly. Also, the other thing we discussed was that Sally is very close to meeting her deductible.
Wow, there's a lot of things going on here, right?
Exactly. So Sally was already ready to sign up for Medicare. She was like, let's get on the site. Let's go to Social Security. Let's do this. And I said, hey, let's look at these other components. First of all, you're only paying $300 a month to cover both you and Bob. If you jump off the policy when you turn 65, Bob's going to have to go on to Cobra. I can guarantee a 64-year-old male is going to be more expensive than the $150 you have left over after you pay for your Medicare Part B.
And generally, you're seeing that running around $700 to $750 a month, right?
Exactly.
So it's going to be more than double, and then it would be after tax also instead of pre-tax.
Exactly. And then the other component is that Sally's already close to her deductible. So what would happen is her deductible doesn't carry over to Medicare. So she would have already been paying in to meet a deductible for the beginning of this year. In October, her deductible would start over again, and then in January, it would start over again. So she would have essentially...
And she's not even retiring.
Exactly. So it didn't make a lot of sense to have 3 deductibles over the course of maybe the next 4 months. So what I suggested was that Sally tough it out for just a few more months.
On the health plan.
Exactly. Stay on the group health plan until Bob turns 65. So just stay on until December 31st. But here's the catch that makes this a little interesting. So Sally's initial election period is 3 months before the month of October.
Right.
The month of October, 3 months after.
Okay.
So instead of using her special election, which most people use when they've worked past the age of 65, they want to jump off their group health insurance and enroll in Medicare, they use a special election period. Sally's actually still in her initial election period.
Cool. That means she doesn't have to get all kinds of sign-off stuff to happen, right?
Exactly. Also, the other thing is when you're applying online, you can still apply online to have. She can apply in December to have a January 1st effective date, just like we'll help Bob take care of as well. But it's important that because Medicare doesn't allow for overlapping election periods, so because she's still in her initial election period, if she attempted to use a special election, they won't allow for that.
They would get confused, and that's scary when the government gets confused.
Exactly, and so that can actually delay her enrollment. So she would have to wait until February 1st if she tried to use a special election period, because that would take her outside of the initial election window. So you want to be very careful with still can achieve exactly what she wants to do, but we want to make sure we do it in the right way because we don't want to have any delays or missteps in the enrollment.
Not a lot of easy decisions here. I mean, we have a lot of interconnecting ones and a lot of rules.
That's right, and for as complicated as Medicare seems, I think that it's definitely I can understand why Sally was so excited to jump on, because it is some of the best coverage available.
Right.
From group to individual coverage. It's less expensive with better benefits in most of the cases. You don't have the same restrictions that a lot of the individual policies now have with narrow networks and very high deductibles. So most of the time when people are coming in to see me, they're very excited to have turned 65. So Sally's just going to have to wait a little bit longer to be the most cost effective.
Well, it's really in her best interest to do this,
Exactly.
especially if she has any ongoing medical treatment between now and the end of the year. I mean, it's just like, she already filled up part of the bucket.
Right, no need to dump it up. Dump it out to fill it up again.
Well, especially on the drug side.
That's right. With her, and also that was another interesting thing that we discussed, which was she has a pretty expensive prescription, and it's going to go down when she jumps onto Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between what she's paying now and the savings she would have still would not make up for having to pay for Bob's individual health, for Bob's COBRA plan.
Plus, she's got the whole donut hole issue, especially if she goes too fast, right?
That's right. Well, it's just she'll start January 1 as opposed to starting in October, so we'll hopefully be able to control some of those costs.
And, the neat part here is that when these folks go to retire,
yes,
you're in a position where, as a part of helping them create their financial plan, we really can go back and go, this is really what the costs are. This is what you can expect in a normal year. This is what the cost would be running. And so we can really plan for those and compare those to what they're doing today.
Yes, so we can work them back into their game plan, which is we know we can get very close to what your monthly expense is going to be, not only for premium, but also for prescription drugs. The other nice thing is that we have a lot of very proactive potential clients that have already come up with budgets, not budgets in a way of what they're going to, just writing down what they are actually spending.
Really a cash flow expense type of
exactly. Scenario. And they're generally budgeting thousands of dollars a month for health insurance, even in Medicare, so being able to let them know that we can take a pretty significant chunk out of that and you can put that back in your pocket, or you can leave it inside of your retirement plans is really what that gets down to, is always a nice thing because
it's the unknown.
Exactly.
They really don't know what they know, and what's neat is that having you able to assist me in doing this and doing the analysis, then feed that back into their financial plan, as we say, really helps them get a lot more clarity, plus make some choices. And in this particular case, moving to Medicare, it's heaven.
It is.
Right? I mean, it's almost the opposite of how healthcare is handled with.
Well, right. Most people
plans.
with anyone that has group health insurance or individual insurance, you're paying premium and you're paying out-of-pocket expense. So every time you're using the physician or you are consuming you're consuming services, you're paying out of pocket. With Medicare, you truly get to choose. Either you pay premium every month or you pay no premium and only out of pocket. So right now you sit in the middle of your Medicare choices, and once you jump onto Medicare, you get to make the decision of how you want to pay for your services, and that has a nice impact on most people's cash flow.
And the neat part is we know that if you're a person that's considering retirement or someone that is has already retired, we do have open enrollment season. It's just around the corner.
That's right. October 15th through December 7th, every single year, you get to decide if you're happy.
And
make some changes.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in time, you'll understand what the plans are, what the new premiums are for the conventional plans as well as for the Part D programs. And be in a position where, what's kind of cool is we can advise folks to do that.
Yes.
Being able to maybe sharpen the pencil a little bit more on their retirement plan. So if you are between the ages of 55 and 75, you're thinking about retirement, or you're thinking, you know what? I'm already retired, but I think I better get a second opinion from the coaches. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 314-863-0008, or send us an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com.
Or aaron@jblfinancial.com.
See you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the Retirement Coach. We'll be back next week at 10 a.m. here on the Big 550 KTRS.